So joining us today then are both of the Athletics Chelsea writers who were both at Stamford Bridge last night to see Chelsea knock Borussia Dortmund out of the Champions League. It's a good morning to Liam Twomey and Simon Johnson as well. Simon, your piece is on the Athletic already about the win last night. You focused in on Graham Potter, and at the very start of the piece, you asked him after the game about where this win ranks in his career so far. He chose to home in on the fact that it got Chelsea to the quarterfinals. But surely it's much more important than that for a wider context of his job, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that he was clearly saying it's one of the best of his career without trying to make it too much about him, but it clearly was such an important night for him on for so many reasons. Yes, it was important for Chelsea too, and for quite a few of the players with a point to prove, but no one had a bigger point to prove than Graham Potter. And it's like, as I go into the piece, he took his guard down. He became one of them. He became one of the fans. He cared. He showed he cared just as much as they do. And he needs to show more of that, I think, for him to truly connect with them over the long term and make this not just a one-off.
I think you're the first person to compare him to Conte, Mourinho, and Tuchel, well, actually, Simon, to be honest.
Well, baby steps, baby steps. Yeah. But just only purely from the sort of geeing up of the fans, the sort of geeing them up to sing louder, was very much out of their kind of playbook. If they sort of sensed that, not that the crowd were actually quite they were loud to begin with, but Potter was asking for more within about 5 minutes. He was asking for more, and yes, this is what I want to hear. And the moment I saw that, I thought, okay, this is a different Graham Potter tonight, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one that thought, yes, I want to see more of this.
Yeah, Liam, we'll get into the improved Chelsea display from the team in a while, but let's stay on Potter for the minute, because like Simon says there, it was so important for Chelsea fans to see these sort of qualities from this manager, and it's not always just about the results, is it? It's about the connection, and it felt like there was far more of a connection between the fans and the manager during that game.
Yeah, when you're the coach of an elite club, you are the figurehead of that club. You're not just the coach of the team. And I think at times over these first few months, understandably so, Potter has focused completely on the challenge of coaching the team. And it feels like he's neglected the building of a rapport with the Chelsea fans. And he was starting from less than zero anyway, because he was replacing someone in Thomas Tuchel who was immensely popular and really had that connection. So that immediately made his job more difficult. But he really needed that connection and that energy going both ways at Stamford Bridge last night in particular, because this was Chelsea's season and you could feel that desperation in the air from everyone. They knew that nothing less than a win would give them anything to play for the next couple of months, and also give them any real hope in this project for the foreseeable future, and particularly Potter's place at the head of it. I don't think any of the fans really personally dislike Potter. I think they're frustrated by the way he talks at times. We don't get the sense any of the players dislike him. The owners clearly like him. Everyone wants him to succeed. But I think they were looking for evidence that he could turn this around and get a break. And for him to conduct himself the way he did and get it right on the pitch and get it right at the most crucial time, I think is a big, really timely boost for him in this job.
Luke Bosher's also written on The Athletic about the win last night and described Graham Potter's celebrations with Todd Bowley. Simon, from your croaky voice, I'm presuming you were at that party last night post-match.
Yeah, first name on the team sheet. Let's carry on from my stag do, literally my stag do, but the stag do I attended last weekend, which a man of my age is still feeling every drink consumed. But no, I thought that was a very telling image as well from the night. From what I'd been hearing, Todd Boehly was definitely one of the ones that was very much still pro Graham Potter. And to see him embrace Potter in the tunnel in a moment of, you could read it in so many ways, but it felt like a genuine show of support and delight. And I just thought that's the exclamation point on talk of Graham Potter losing his job for the time being. It was a great sort of shared moment between them, out of view of Chelsea fans, but they would have seen that, obviously, that image on the camera, and that would also send a message to them that, okay, he's clearly got Todd Boehly's backing. So, but we'll see. I keep sort of saying let's not get too carried away. There was a reason why you were sort of hearing noises that Potter's job was on the line ahead of the Leeds game. So,
do you think he would have lost his job if he'd been knocked out last night?
I think there was a possibility for it. I'm not saying it would have happened, but there was definitely a possibility. The Leeds win was huge, I think. Just to go into this game with a little bit less scrutiny on him, but I'm talking by only a small amount. The Champions League is huge for Chelsea. History shows that. And it, as Liam said earlier, it keeps the season alive. And actually, I think it's massively important because the quarter-final is what, a month away, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And there would have been a danger if they hadn't gone through that the Premier League games would have just become very flat. But now there's going to be a whole group of players that will be doing their utmost to impress, to try and get into that quarterfinal. And who knows, this may be what Chelsea need to get results to get up the league table. So it could have a real kick-on effect for the final 2 months of the campaign. And certainly that's what the Chelsea fans would be hoping.
Yeah, that's going to be the point of interest now, Liam, isn't it? What effect this result has. Is it a turning point for Graham Potter and the team? Because, you've just got to reset and go again at Leicester this weekend. The reality of the league position, 10th spot, is so far below what Chelsea expect. There's so much work to be done in the league between now and the end of the season, if indeed they can rescue the league season from this point. But it'd be really, really intriguing to see what effect this has, won't it?
Yeah, the league is unsalvageable, I think, in terms of top four. There's the points gap is too big, and Chelsea have too many teams to jump.
Is Europe still important though in some guys, because it's only jumping up to 7th to do that, 6th for the Europa League?
Well, Simon wrote about this a week or so ago about whether it would be better for Chelsea to be out of Europe or not. And if you're projecting forward about them maybe trying to win the Premier League next season, it's probably better to be out of Europe entirely. However, they have 31 first-team players at the moment and may go into next season with 20 plus, depending on how well their selling efforts go this summer. So having a few Conference League games or Europa League games could actually be quite useful to get
to
everyone
pay for all
minutes.
These players as well, surely.
Absolutely. Although I don't know how much the income from those competitions really moves the needle compared to the Champions League. But looking at the Premier League for the rest of this year, I think the key thing is to provide some hope and optimism to the fans with performances that this is now going in the right direction again. Ensuring that players are primed physically and psychologically for a potential stretch run in the Champions League. And I think most crucially, getting N'Golo Kante fit and into top form, because this is the one player who we saw 2 years ago can be the best player in the Champions League knockout stage. He can be that good. He can be the decisive influence on the very biggest matches. And, if I was another team in this Champions League draw, I wouldn't be overjoyed about the prospect of playing Chelsea with a fit N'Golo Kante.